Let's move into our third and final main topic today. And our third and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Nino Bertelli, who writes, "Hi, John and Rob. It was a great Christmas for me as a movie fan. Even though I didn't get to go to my beloved movie theater, I was at least able to watch two movies that I really enjoyed in both Soul and Wonder Woman." I'm glad you like them, man. I read a story in Bloomberg that said Soul generated about 4 times as many new subscriptions for Disney Plus than Wonder Woman 84 did for HBO Max. Why do you think, and are you surprised Soul dominated like that? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. Appreciate it. And yeah, listen, Rob, I'm a numbers guy. I love analytics. I love numbers. Maybe that's just partially because I come from like a sports background and I love sports so much. So I'm all about analytics and numbers and all that sorts of stuff. But we all knew that going into this weekend, Disney had their big movie that they were putting out on their streaming service with Soul. And obviously HBO Max had their big movie that they were putting out in Wonder Woman 84. I suspected Disney might perform a little bit better. I was not prepared for by how much. This comes to us from the folks over at Screen Rant and Bloomberg that write, a new report from Bloomberg says that both Disney Plus and HBO Max saw significant increases in subscriber numbers thanks to the release of Soul and Wonder Woman 84 on Christmas Day. But Disney Plus was the big winner. The report states that HBO Max saw a record of 554,000 app downloads on the weekend following the release of Wonder Woman 1984. But that was blown out of the water by Disney Plus, which saw over 2.3 million new app downloads following Soul's success. Let's read that last part again. The report states that HBO Max saw a record of 554,000 app downloads on the weekend following the release of Wonder Woman 1984, but that was blown out of the water by Disney Plus, which saw over 2.3 million new app downloads following the success of Soul. So there's that. Rob, there's a couple things that should be kept in mind about these numbers. First thing to keep in mind, these app downloads strictly refer to mobile app downloads, tablets, some on equipped laptops and computers and phones. Now, the Bloomberg report goes on to point out that the ratio to that of home set-top devices like a Roku or an Amazon Fire Stick are expected to generally be on par with that. But just to be specific, that was only talking about mobile equivalents, although they say the ratio should be the same for Rokus and what have you. Rob, I got to tell you, these numbers surprise me. And the reason the numbers surprise me is because when you go back before Wonder Woman 84 and Soul came out, I put up a poll on my own Twitter asking people, hey, listen, Soul's coming out, Wonder Woman 84 is coming out, we're all excited about it. Which one are you going to watch first? And an almost 2-to-1 ratio, 65% of the respondents said they were going to watch Wonder Woman first, 35% said they were going to watch Soul first. But in actuality and in practice, it seems like a lot more people were drawn to sign up to a subscription service for Soul than they were for Wonder Woman 84. I don't really have a good answer for that, except to say something that we as film fans always underestimate, which is the power of the family film. Not that Wonder Woman 84 isn't family friendly, not saying that, but Soul is targeted and marketed as a family film. And maybe we continue to underestimate that, but that 4 times margin. And Rob, to me, it kind of highlights the difficult position that HBO Max is in right now, because Disney has passed now 83 million subscribers. HBO Max is still sitting at about 12. So there's still a bit of a discrepancy there. And while a Warner Brothers rep said that the new engagement caused by Wonder Woman 84 exceeded their expectations, I heard from very connected people that is completely not true. That Warner Brothers was expecting a bigger bump than the one they got. Their public face is, wow, that 500,000 new subscribers, that exceeded our expectations. I've heard very reliably that is not true. That they weren't expecting 5 million new subscribers. Don't get me wrong, but I have heard quite definitively that their real expectations was that it was going to be a number that actually well exceeded 500,000. They paid Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot each $10 million in bonuses based on an expectation that Wonder Woman 84 was going to be $1 billion film of the theater and was going to do significantly better for them on HBO Max. Still, it is a record weekend for HBO Max in getting new subscribers. That's a win. But other than the family film angle, Rob, I really can't come up with a good explanation as to why Soul and Disney Plus so outperformed HBO Max with Wonder Woman 84. Maybe word of mouth that traveled really fast. I don't know. What's your take on this?
Well, I think that there's a lot. Look, I'm going to go back to The Mandalorian on this one, because I think there's a lot of people who hadn't embraced Disney Plus, and they needed, now that, another Pixar movie, you had Onward go there right after it had been dropped in theaters. But I think there's a lot of people that might have been on the fence about getting Disney Plus or whatever, that, late adopters. They've been hearing about The Mandalorian for so long. Obviously, Luke Skywalker coming back and Soul. I think the combination of these things was kind of a perfect storm. So people that didn't jump on the Disney Plus bandwagon finally decided, well, Luke's back. We better get Disney Plus. I think that was all part of it. And the whole thing about Wonder Woman 84, it's not like Wonder Woman 84, this whole new idea of it going to theaters and then also being on streaming. John, I just don't think Wonder Woman 84 had, we wanted to see it, but my must see on Wonder Woman 84 was more driven by my need to talk about it on this show, where I wasn't necessarily that excited about it. Whereas I'm always excited about a Pixar movie because they've delivered for 25 years. And I think just that could be a part of it. But I think it's a combination of what Disney Plus had going on. Remember, this Luke Skywalker business, people are still talking about it all over the internet. And I think that was a big, big, big factor.
I think it might have been a factor. I'm not sure how big, because it was done a while ago. We're talking about just this one weekend, but hey, you know what? Christmas weekend.
That was it.
People, maybe they're waiting for some things to do, but can't we say that, hey, HBO and HBO Max has a lot of really good content on their show too, but I guess nothing that's super hot right now. Well, okay, then let's just focus on HBO Max here for a second. This was their first move and to take a major high-profile tentpole film and put it straight to the streaming service. Should HBO Max, understanding where they sit in relation to the other big streamers, Netflix, Disney Plus, even Amazon, if you're a Warner Brothers executive right now over there, and you see 500,000 new subscribers as a result of the release of Wonder Woman 1984, are you happy with that?
No. No. And I think that the thing is, they're looking at this as the future of entertainment. You've got Warner Brothers, HBO Max. I think HBO Max's biggest problem, and you and I have talked about it, is that it's called HBO Max. People think it's just HBO. I don't think, look, we the movie pundits and the people that are doing shows like this, we all understand that. But if you were to say to my mom and try and explain to my mother what HBO Max is, she'd be like, yeah, I know HBO. What's the difference? I don't understand. I don't think most people are really quite getting it yet. And it's because HBO, it's not anything new. Like we've said, HBO Go, HBO this, HBO that. And they decided to call their streaming service HBO Max. And I think they just have a branding issue. And I think that's a big part of it. And 500,000 subscribers, that's only 500,000 people to go see who wanted to see Wonder Woman 84. I'll bet they thought they were going to get 5 million. They can't be happy with 500,000 when they're looking across the street at Disney probably passed 100 million subscribers this holiday season.
Let me ask you this, Rob. Let's say instead of Soul, Pixar family film, not the best marketing because it's very cerebral. It's very metaphysical. Yeah. So you and I have talked before about how that seemed like a very difficult movie to market and all that sort of thing. Let's say it was an apples to apples comparison. Let's say that on Christmas Day, HBO Max launched Wonder Woman 1984 and Disney Plus launched Black Widow. That's as close to an apples to apples comparison I can come up with. Do you think the gap becomes even bigger? How much success do you think Disney Plus has that Christmas? And Christmas is obviously a big day to do it. But I mean, how big do you think there'd be any difference in the gap at that point? Or do you think it would just be the same?
No, I think there would be. I think it would be comparable as it is now, or even bigger. Because obviously you've got the MCU behind it, and the MCU with its success, you can't argue with that success. And again, ultimately, Wonder Woman turned out to be, I think, for a lot of people, there's people that really like it, but I was actually, it made me sad that I was so disappointed in Wonder Woman. Like Wonder Woman 84 made me feel bad as a film fan and as a Wonder Woman fan when I watched it, that I was like, why isn't this movie better? And I'm like, Wonder Woman deserved better, and I'm like wandering around kind of bummed out. And I think that had something to do with it too, that they just are assuming that a movie like Wonder Woman, because everybody just assumes, well, the first Wonder Woman did this and everyone really liked it, so we got everybody coming back. And I think that that's not the case. They have to stop thinking that everything is just going to be a built-in hit because the first one was. Every movie is its own business and has to be treated as such. You can't ever sail off the success of the first film and expect that you're going to get the same success with a second movie. It has to live up to the first film, and I don't think Wonder Woman did.
The other thing that should be noted here, and a little asterisk we should put in this as well, is we do also have to keep in mind that while it doesn't represent a massive thing, Wonder Woman also did play in theaters and made $16 million. In a non-COVID era, that's pathetic. But in the COVID era, right now, in the midst of a high pandemic, $16 million is not a bad result. So that probably also represents a number of people who maybe would have signed up for HBO Max had they not gone to the theaters to watch it. So you got to keep that part in mind,
John,
too, I
think. There's also another big factor, which is cost. HBO Max is a lot more expensive than Disney Plus right now.
That's true. Yeah. Also, number of markets that Disney Plus versus HBO Max, and how many markets the two are in. So the numbers are the numbers, but there are some other extenuating circumstances you also have to keep in mind when looking at them. Still, you would think, as Warner Brothers thought, you launch Wonder Woman 84 in a home streaming service, the response was going to be much bigger. They thought the response was going to be much bigger. Question is, guys, what do you think about those results? Jump on down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.